Well, we're excited today to have as our trainer Bill Predebon, as we do on Tuesdays. And I started out with some thoughts today on being together with other people, being grateful, and I am again grateful to be together with you guys. And here is a guy that we get to learn from today. He is an entrepreneur. He is a real estate investor. He's been around the block a few times. He knows where success is, and he is here to show us the way this morning. Bill Predebon, good morning, sir.
Ron, can you hear me okay?
You sound great.
Oh, awesome. Every time I do this, I always wonder if I'm doing it right. Well,
Coming
listen,
across loud and clear.
excellent, Ron. Thanks for always shooting me a message early in the morning and getting me ready for this. And thanks for taking the time that you take to host this call for us 4 days a week. And contribute to the community nationwide, really, like you do. It's just people like you. We just greatly appreciate what makes Renata so awesome. And so you're awesome, Ron. I really appreciate it. I've listened to you for a long time before I got to train on the call, and it's a pleasure. So thanks for your work. Right on, folks. Welcome to Tuesday. Takeoff Tuesday, I guess, is what Michael calls it, right? I was thinking about the call as always, and I trained last night on my local team call, and I didn't want to repeat it, so I wanted to come up with obviously something new, not necessarily new, just something that would bring a lot of value. It's always about bringing value to this call, and so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, well, what is the reason that we're on the call? I got to remember too. It's interesting because on the call, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 50 or so, 60 people on this call this morning, every morning. And, we all have different incomes from Renatus in the marketing. And so I'm sure there's people on this call that make more money than me, even in the Renatus business, for example. But I get the opportunity and the honor to train on the call. And so, the reason that most of us, I think, are on the call is to grow our business, right? Is to maybe learn something or hear something or get something from it that might give us a bigger and better opportunity to make money marketing Renatus and introducing students to the opportunity, to the education, to the services we provide. And in turn, ultimately, we get 5-star qualified, or we start to make $10,000 checks, or we work our way to a 6-figure income from Renatus, or get out of our job, or whatever the goal is, right? And it's a moving target. It's always we always want to improve. We are always wanting to get better. Once you're 5-star, that's just the beginning. Once you've made your first $10,000 check, that's just a minor milestone, if you will, as you move towards a monthly $10,000 goal. A 6-figure income for the year. And if you're getting the top 10, once you get in, I should say not if, but once you get into the top 10% and then the top 1%, you're shooting for, $500,000 and $1 million in 1 year in income, and building a team of 3 or 4 or 500 people strong. So with that in mind, I want, I hate that word. My goal is to hopefully understand what you guys want and to bring some value that could help you achieve some of those goals, right? So I'm thinking about the fact that you're not alone. And what I'm going to talk about with that is that whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is, wherever you are in your stage of Renatus marketing, you're not alone. And I'm going to provide a lot of examples around that. I think that from my experience in Renatus for the last 10 years, as most of you know, so my name is Bill Predebon, as it says. That's a picture of me and my stylish hair there. I've been around since the old company, since 2008. And I joined I got involved in Renatus in the old company for real estate investing education. I wanted to simply be a real estate investor. So the majority, I would say, of us on the call and across the country are typically view the opportunity for the first time in whatever fashion, whether it's a webinar, typically a live meeting, a live epic presentation, for that same reason, that we want to get involved in real estate. We want to flip a house. We want to create wealth through real estate. And so we're introduced to the idea of Renatus and the services that it provides. And then eventually, sooner than later, hopefully sooner than later, we end up on a call like this, and we end up as an IMA, and we end up beginning to market our business. We end up talking to other people. We end up listening to the 10-step training from Bob Snyder. Of course, if you haven't done that, or if you haven't done it in a while, I recommend obviously to continue to view that 10-step training. And we start showing up at all the meetings, and we look forward to building a business and making an additional 10 grand while we're trying to do our first deal. So what happens along the way, right? And if you weren't on the webinar last night, it was a pretty darn good webinar with Scott Rowe in his training. And so I don't want to be repetitious. I definitely don't want to try to repeat what he said. But I will just speak from experience, right? When I first started, you guys, many of you have gotten to know my story a little bit, but my sales were all retail. And so what do I mean by retail sale? Retail simply means that I was marketing to someone who wanted to purchase the education, who wanted to be like me and become a real estate investor. And they were not interested in going to the meetings. They were not interested in the community necessarily as much as they were the education and being able to do real estate. So I didn't have any duplication at all. I had a team, but my team was simply made up of retail sales. My first year, I think I had 5 sales my first year in 2008, and 2 of them were qualifying sales, and 3 of them were $10,000 checks to me as a direct sale. Those folks, all of those folks are no longer with the business. They're not, I don't know what they're doing. They didn't continue on to the lifetime education. They didn't opt into that option. And as the years went on before Renatus became Renatus, they went away. And same with the next few years of the people that I enrolled over the next few years. I would enroll usually between 3 and 5 people a year as a part-time business and with retail folks. What I'm getting at is that we definitely lead by example. And whatever it is that we choose to do, our folks will follow. I chose to be in real estate. I chose to not be a marketer. I chose to take my education and really hammer into real estate investing. And eventually, or every once in a while, I would introduce the opportunity to someone via a meeting usually, but strictly on a retail sale, right? Strictly on a basis of, hey, I was never even promoting the community. And what I found over time, as you've heard me say before, is that the community really has made me the real estate investor that I am today. With the relationships that I've built over the last 10 years from people that I've met, I shouldn't say my entire, but 80% maybe or more of my real estate business is from Renatus folks. My money, the private money that I raise, most of the deals that I do, it comes from the Renatus community. So as I re-engaged in Renatus and the marketing, and made a decision that I was going to be a 6-figure income earner in the Renatus business in 2016, my focus shifted from simply retail sales from folks that are just interested in real estate. Although that's what I do for attraction marketing and for my marketing introduction is real estate based. I introduce them to the community, and I encourage them naturally to follow that pattern, and eventually introduce them to the marketing and explain the marketing and how the marketing can enhance their real estate business and ultimately supplement their real estate business and is a faster way to money. So back to why we're on the call and the information that you want to gain, the value you want to have from this call, in saying that you're not alone, right? And what I mean by you're not alone is we all know what the 4 money-making activities are, right? We all know the core beliefs of Renatus, and we know what we need to do. And the pattern is that we enroll in Renatus, and you can think about this as many of you are 5-star qualified already. You're building a team, and you can think about this from the standpoint of your own team and some of the folks that you're working with, or some of your qualifying sales, or you'll notice it from the team that you're on. Everybody starts out with a pretty great and optimistic thoughts of Renatus and what they're going to be able to do, how much money they're going to make, how great it's going to be, and how fast they're going to make money, and how fast they're going to get 5-star qualified, and things like that when we're talking about the marketing. And really it can apply to the real estate too. I had a friend, I have a team member. I called him last night. We're having a super Saturday this week, and I'm promoting my team. I'm trying to re-engage some of the folks that are on my team. And he was one of my first students that enrolled in 2016 with me. And it was pretty interesting. I really respect him. And here's the deal. So he came to a Thursday night. He was a radio advertisement lead, and he came and he sat down with me afterwards, and I said, "What did you like best?" And he said everything. And I said, "Well, do you see yourself getting started with Renatus? And if you do, at what level?" And he said, "I just want it all. I'm ready to go. What's the next step?" I said, "Great, let's do a one-on-one. We'll meet tomorrow. I'll come over to your house," whatever it was we decided to do. So I did go to his house and sat down, got some questions answered, and he enrolled. It was a fairly quick enrollment. It was 2 touches, and he was a combo holder. And he wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to do. And he was interested in both the marketing and the real estate. He'd never really been a marketer. He was a laborer, a skilled laborer, a very skilled individual in trade and in working in the construction field. And so his goal ultimately was real estate. And right away he had gotten a HELOC. He had worked on the velocity banking and got himself a HELOC. He had good credit and things like that. And with that HELOC, he went into a deal with me and was a lender on one of the deals with me, and got an upfront fee for his money as well as an interest rate on the loan. And then when I sold the house, he was paid out, and he made pretty decent money for a HELOC, twice as much as what he had to pay, more than twice as much as what he had to pay for the HELOC, right? So it was a good deal. It's interesting though, and this is what I mean by you're not alone, is he hasn't been around in over a year, I think. I don't think that he's attended an event. And life and situations get in the way. It will happen to all of us. And I used to say, I'm going to finish my story in a second. I used to say, I love this phrase or whatever you want to call it, this saying, but never learn to quit, right? If you never learn to quit, you'll be successful. The only issue I have with that is I heard, and I can't even take credit for this, but just not learning to quit doesn't make you successful, right? You still need to show up, and you still need to do the work, and you still need to follow the four money-making activities, right? If we're showing up at meetings, but we never invite guests and we never talk to anybody, it's not that it won't happen for you, but it will take a long time. And it will not happen for you until you change that pattern. Eric, the gentleman I'm talking about, he he started to market online in Craigslist, and did a little bit of warm market. In fact, I talked to several of his warm market, and none of them, I don't believe, ended up showing up to the event. And it was only a handful of people, not even a full handful of people for warm market. And then we did a lot of Craigslist ads, and didn't really have the success that he anticipated and expected right out of the bat as far as measuring success goes, where someone actually enrolled in a short period of time. Renatus, when you commit to all the meetings, Renatus takes up your time. It is a job. It is a second job, if you will, when you get started, until it becomes your business, and until it replaces something you're already doing, and it becomes something that that is a part of you. It is simply you force yourself to be a part of that, to make that happen, to go to the events. And as you start to have it take up all that time, you get pushback. You get pushback from family. You get pushback from friends. You feel that things that you're accustomed to are slipping away, and you might get some very serious resistance from family. And that's what happened with this gentleman. Is he did get a lot of resistance because he was spending a lot of time away from his family. He had children, and they're young, and life got in the way, and he chose the success, he chose to go back to a normal routine versus continuing on with Renatus. Now it's still here for him. When I call him, he takes my calls. He knows it's there and available to him. He has the education. He's working the velocity banking. He's happy. He's content. He's excited about what he has, what the opportunity offers him, but he's not working the business, right? If you allow your old ways, when I say never learn to quit, just never learning to quit doesn't bring you a $10,000 paycheck. If we're not going to the meetings with guests, if we're not talking to people every day, and I know that you know this, but what I'm getting at is there's every one of us has a reason that we're not where we want to be in our Renatus marketing. So, for example, I have a real estate business, and as you know, I've done a lot of transactions. I've been in full-time real estate since I got started with Renatus in 2008, and I average over 10 deals a year. I'm well over 100 and something deals that I've done, 125, 130 deals. Right now I have 5 fix and flips going. And so I have a regular full-time business, if you will, a full-time fix and flip job. And I also manage the majority of my rental portfolio myself, including my VRBO, my VRBOs that I have. And so I easily allow that to be an excuse as to why I'm not in the top, whatever it is, 10 income earners in the company, right? Why I didn't hit my goal last year of my income goal for Renatus, right? It is a comfort zone. It is a guaranteed income when I flip, not guaranteed income when I flip a house, but you know what I mean? 4 out of my 5 deals, at the very least 4.5, 4.9 out of 5 are going to make me money. And I know how to do it. I know how to do it well. I know where to find the money. I know where to find the houses, and I know how to flip them. And I know how to get renters in my rentals and bring in income and things like that. So it's an easy fallback. I'm just like you. And you have a family, you have a job, you have a life, and that's what we know. And that is what we rely on. And that's what our brains are taught. And those are the learned behaviors that we have for years and years and years, right? I've trained myself now to be a full-time real estate investor. In fact, even when I chose in 2016 to really market this full-time, and not just go to the meetings, but literally place an ad every week to 2 weeks, talk to my warm market, work on my team, work with my team, right? Then when that starts to take more time right? And so for me, I don't know, 30 hours a week minimum that I work with the Renatus business, if you call it that, like between going to meetings, being on leadership, doing these calls, getting on calls, studying my education, all of the above. When I add that all up, I have a second business now. And, I'm not any different from anybody else where, my wife will be like, hey man, you can't let your real estate business go. That's our bread and butter. That's where that's where you make your money, things like that. So it happens to all of us. You're not alone when the norm, when the comfort has to be a constant reminder, right? And then what we need to do, what I do is I remember that, and I'm in that business, but I also have to constantly, and I don't want to use the word force, but I have to remind myself of what ultimately is possible, right? A Michael Huggins, a Scott Rowe, a John O'Neill, a Nate Lambert, a Mitch Nelson, and the list just goes on, a Gary Lawrence, all of the PAC members, all of the PIT members, a Christian Sadler, these guys, these types of incomes are possible. And those incomes, if you remember, are risk-free, right? Those incomes do not come with the possibility of losing money. Those incomes do not come with the possibility of having to go every single day after you sell a house and buy another house, or you don't have a job, right? You constantly, as you build your team and as your team starts to build a team, you begin to have leverage. If you heard Scott Rowe last night, and if you didn't, you're missing out on some of these webinars. I don't recommend that, but you guys know, I'm preaching to the choir. You're on this call. You understand what I'm talking about. But, when Scott said he's making $18,000 a week in residual income, that is the possibility. I mean, who doesn't want $18,000 a week in residual income? And if you think about it, he simply was able to obtain this, him and his wife, over the course of knowing Bob for only 12 years. And in reality, started over again in 2011 and from scratch, and had to work it all the way back up again over the last 7 years. But if you can look at yourself right now and go, okay, I've been in this long, 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and go, wow, in 3 or 4 more years, or in 5 more years, or in 6 more years, I could have $10,000 a week in residual income. Not even direct sales, but simply the 20% that Bob Snyder pays out to the field over and above the initial 50% upfront commission. That's a pretty darn good goal. That is a pretty amazing risk-free goal. I had a couple join me in 2016, one of my very first combos as well. And I love this couple to death. They're friends of mine. They're still working the Renatus business. But over the last 6 months, their attendance has dwindled, almost to the point where, they're simply, I don't want to use the word average. It's common, right? They're not there very often. Maybe one Saturday tour a month. Maybe one of them will show up for a Thursday night. The other one is working 2 jobs now, is trying to make some income goals, and has chosen a job over the opportunity to work the Renatus business. What's interesting is they're halfway to 5-star, right? They own their combo. They had a very, very good full combo sale. I think 6 months into their Renatus business or less. Constantly were putting butts in seats. They went through a lot of Craigslist folks that could not fund, had a lot of ambition, but just were not able. They weren't the A part of raw. They're definitely ready and definitely willing, but not able, as a lot of Craigslist and cold market leads are. However, life got in the way again. And again, you're not alone. They haven't quit. They're not quitting. I talk to them all the time, at least once or twice a week. communicate with him and understand what his goals are. And he's working on a system that he's going to implement so he can get back into the swing of things, of attending the events and things like that. But, time goes by pretty easily, and we find ourselves falling into the routines that are common to us, that are known to us, the learned behaviors, the behaviors that we talk, and even the limiting beliefs that we have as we have created those limiting beliefs over time through whatever work that we do, whatever environment that we're familiar with. And then I have another gentleman. This gentleman came in, took him probably 5 months to fund his education. In fact, he was inviting people before he was even owned his combo, right? I'll pause here for just a second and remind you guys that if anybody has a topic, anybody has a question or comment about marketing that you want to talk about, feel free to just type in and I'll definitely get to it. But so this gentleman is a young kid. He's 21 when he started. And it's interesting because he's probably put more people in front of the room than anybody on my team for sure, and has definitely worked the Craigslist ads and the warm market. I mean, this is a gentleman who did everything possibly went through every single funding option and, tried to do it on his own with his parents' retirement accounts, every possible way to fund. Took him months. And finally we found an angel investor that was able to invest for him in his education. A very creative way we did it. But my point is that it's somebody who has never quit. Now, I talk about that we all, don't ever learn to quit, but never quitting, again, does not get the job done. So the difference between him and some of the other folks I was describing is he continually comes to the events all the time. He continually places ads, even when he doesn't have the money, right? Even when it hasn't worked. When he's probably put, I don't know, 200 plus people in front of the room, he doesn't have a single combo sale yet, right? Now, he actually just had his first advanced combo, which is awesome. He's had several essential sales, but and he's got a pipeline that is about ready to just burst. But he continually did the money-making activities. He continually, even when he was out of town, would have guests at the events, at the tours, at the meetings, at the Saturdays, and was on the calls and would stay in constant contact with me. If you're not staying, in my opinion, in constant contact with your 5-star affiliate, I think you're not taking advantage of something. And if you're not close with your 5-star, if you don't have a relationship with your 5-star, then I'm sure that you have a relationship with other 5-stars and stay in touch with them. From this call, since I've been doing it, everybody has my phone number. I'll type it back in there again. I've had several people reach out to me on a regular basis and take advantage of that. And I think that's crucial. That's part of the Renata system is staying in touch. So he would constantly stay in touch with me. And, although the results are not what he wants in his first year, he's been with us just about a year. And, as Scott said last night, and what an amazing training he did, when it comes to the money, the paychecks, they're not always in the form of a $10,000, transfer into your bank account. They're in the form of the minor successes and the wins that you have over changing what you're doing or increasing what you're doing right, changing what's not working, learning what's not working and understanding what's not working, and then adjusting to that, right? Those are the paychecks that mean more to you than anything, right? But if you get those paychecks and they don't pay the bills, and you allow those paychecks to discourage you because they aren't paying the bills, and you don't and you allow your limiting beliefs and your life's patterns to not accept those kinds of paychecks, those non $10,000 paychecks, those learned behaviors and those lessons that you're learning through your Renatus business. If you allow those paychecks and your limiting beliefs to discourage you from those types of paychecks and not getting the $10,000 checks, then you will begin to, and you've probably experienced this, or you know some folks that have, you will begin to not show up as much. You will show up without inviting people. You won't place the ads or the street signs or whatever marketing you're doing. You won't talk to your warm market anymore. You will get discouraged, and you will allow that failure, if you want to call it that, to discourage you and to allow you to stop doing what it takes to be what you would call, quote unquote, successful in the Renatus marketing business. He did not do that. He has every reason to give up on the Renatus system, just based on the fact that it hadn't worked for him, and he wasn't 5-star qualified in the time and in the amount of people that he put in front of the room, and he could have easily been discouraged and limited the amount of time. I mean, he spends a significant amount of time going to almost, if not all, events that we have, right? And not only going to those events, but inviting people. My point to his story is that he's done what Scott was talking about. His pipeline is so big that when the dam breaks, he could be facing easily a $20 or $30 or $40,000, right? At the young age of 22, only a second year into the business, and really explode. Many people on this call, have had fantastic first years, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 first years, which is phenomenal. Not all of us do that, right? Not all of us have that first year or 6-month success that we dream of and that we hope of, and that is that we count on or we believe in. But that's okay. You know what I mean? That's the whole point. You're not alone. You're not the only one. If everybody could make $10,000 in their first month or their first week or their first 2 months, it would be a different story. This is simple, but it's not easy, as you've always heard, right? It does require work. You hear the top income earners that train across the country talk about the fact that this takes work, right? And the work is simple. The work is not hard work, but it is talking to people and inviting them and having them in front of the meeting, right? Having those folks show up at the events and following up with them. That is kind of where I wanted to start the training with today is really the fact that you're not alone, right? The fact that whatever you're going through, I could almost guarantee, of course I'm not allowed to guarantee anything, I could almost guarantee that someone else has experienced what you're experiencing. Someone else in Renatus across the years has experienced whatever it is that is you're experiencing that is not getting you the success that you want. Or perhaps you're getting some success that you are enjoying, but you want to be in the top 5 or the top 10 or the top 100 or whatever it is, or you have an income goal that you're not reaching. That goal will happen. Those things will change for you if you continue to do the work. And if you not only never learn to quit, but you do the money-making activities on a regular basis. With that said, again, if anybody has anything that you're welcome to chat it out, I'm more than happy to answer questions. I'm going to talk a little bit about, how I was able to, so far, create a team of over 30 people over the last 2 years and still do the amount of real estate that I do, right? The number one thing I did is when I re-engaged in Renatus in 2016 as a marketer, after taking 5 years of not doing any marketing with Renatus, the only thing I said to myself was that I was going to do the marketing, that I was going to be a top income earner, that I was going to do what I've never done before, which is build a team and have people get 5-star qualified on my team, work with my team, and create a leveraged business that Renatus offers, like fully engage in the Renatus business earning opportunity, right? And so the first thing we need to do is we need to make that commitment. I had to commit to that. I had to commit to my wife that I was going to be going to every single meeting, that I was not going to miss a Super Saturday. I was not going to miss a property tour. And if you think about it, I do a lot of real estate. So a lot of times the property tours are my tours. Even if we have some others going on, I usually have at least 2 or 3 property tours of my own every single month, which means I need to be there and I need to be the one doing the presenting. I'm also a local leader, right? So I'm constantly doing the leadership. I'm going to leadership meetings. I'm doing the trainings and things like that. So I'm not only building my team and committing to that team, but and committing to my direct sales, but I'm also committing to if you want to call it the hospitality, right? Or the actual Renatus community, and volunteering my time all the time. So the first thing is that commitment. And I decided that the only way for me to constantly lead by example, right, is that we really do need to have leads every week. We have to have an advertisement of some kind. A friend of mine, a gentleman who made $80,000 in 1 month with Renatus back in the old days, used to work at a corporate office and committed to the same thing that I just told you that I committed to. And so he went ahead and he would work corporate job, and on lunchtime he would start to bring his own lunch, and he would go out into his car for an hour and he would make calls so that he could have somebody there on Thursday nights when he went to the meetings. It's the same thing. If you're not talking to somebody every week, and you all know this, so again, I'm preaching to the choir, but we still, even though we know it, even though we know what to do, we don't, and we know even how to do it, we just sometimes don't do it. So we have to re-engage into that process. If you listened to Christian a couple of weeks ago talk about his goals of talking to 8 people or getting 8 commitments a day and having this blitz. I mean, I think that was a phenomenal training, right? Really going on a blitz. Your blitz could be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be 8 commitments a day like Christian. He has a different goal than you do, perhaps. But nonetheless, it's a blitz. Even if it's just one person a week that you have, one person a day that you have committed, right? Or you're talking to one person per day or 3 people per day, whatever it is, it's imperative. It's crucial that you have a constant weekly engagement with new leads. And so I was committed to that. I mean, I knew that I had to get practice again, that I didn't have a warm market anymore that was 200 or 300 people deep and that I could just constantly rely on, right? And so I had to create new warm market. I had to create cold market. I had to have people I was talking to every single day on purpose, right? As Bob Snyder talked about last night with Scott, this non-negotiable time where I was making calls every single day. Like literally when I'm managing 5 projects, I don't do the work, but I have constant, I've got 10 texts right now. We got a rainstorm last night in Arizona, and I had a brand new construction project that I did that the roof leaked, right? So I've got to deal with that. But I have non-negotiable time that no matter what's going on, I have to make the calls. And that's where that commitment comes in, is that in 2016, for me to get started and really jumpstart, a great Renatus business, I had to start building a pipeline. I had to start creating that wave, right? I had to start making those $10,000 checks that Scott was talking about that never really hit my account. And that's where I have some of the folks that I was telling you about, right? I only talked really about 3 individuals on my team. It's only 10% of my team, but one of the guys on my team is half my team is warm market, half my team is cold market Craigslist, right? And so one of the guys on my team is a friend of mine. He's been doing my doors and windows since 2011 on my projects. He's a full boat combo holder. Him and his brother, and they they have not engaged in the education really, or the business for that matter, except for the very beginning for almost 2 years now. They're a UGA combo holder. They make their payment every single month. They have made it every single month for 2 years. I see them all the time and talk to them all the time. I invite them all the time to meetings and one-on-ones and getting their path going. But they're very, very busy, and it's not something they've wrapped their heads around yet, right? But the point is, these are folks that are part of my team and part of my business. I committed to talking to everybody that I come in contact with and inviting them down to the meeting. And because of that, I have folks that will eventually create more leads and more $10,000 paychecks for me, because they are IMAs, right? They will sometime engage when I constantly stay in touch with them. You know, as once you guys are 5-star, if you, and many of you are, as you begin to build this team of yours, you know, I committed. It was funny that Scott said that the other night, last night on that training too. And I hate to keep talking about what he says, but what he says is pretty brilliant, because he's the best at what he does, right? Him and those guys are the best in the business. So, you know, it's nothing new. But, you know, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I said I was going to have a team call. And I remember that starting that team call on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. for 1 hour, taking up another night of my night, right? So if you think about Monday night, I'm busy. Thursday night, I'm busy. Now Tuesday nights, I'm busy with Renatus doing an hour-long team call. And I remember doing that call with one person on the call, or that couple rather, the three of us, right? And now I don't have that call with usually less than 12 or 15 people on it. But it's a constant commitment. And it was a start of something. And it's the same thing we need to do when it comes to having that weekly business, that every week. There's so many folks, you guys, and especially in Arizona, that I noticed that simply show up. And that's awesome. They're on their own pace. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, as you all heard. But I'm telling you, my experience is there is burnout. There is drop off. There is life that gets in the way. You are not alone when it comes to being susceptible to the fact that if you're not working this business, the business will decrease and the business could go away, or your drive will go away, your motivation, your core beliefs will sink, right? Your core beliefs will begin to deteriorate as much as you built them up. It's not where anything to where you can't regenerate it and you can't regrow it and you can't make it back, but it does go away a little bit. You get discouraged and you will experience life to where other things will become more important. Other things, you will believe in other things more. You'll believe in this less, whatever the case is. But when you constantly have someone that you're talking to, even if it's one person a week that commits to a meeting, do you know how exciting that is? To think that you could make 10 grand or get 5-star qualified because you have that one person coming. It's something to look forward to. We've got to always, every day, have that something to look forward to. When you're doing your Thursday nights or your Tuesday nights, whatever your meeting is, when you have an event, a property tour, whatever it is that you're going to be going to, having that one or two people that it said they're going to be there, even if they don't show up, is so awesome and so exhilarating to have that experience, to know that someone, and especially when you talk to someone who's got the fire that you had and you have when you started, right? And you're like, wow, this guy's going to be really good, or this girl's going to be awesome, even if they don't show up, right? Or even if they end up not doing anything, or they're not able, once they get there, to fund the education for weeks or months. You constantly have that person, that new person, that, like Bob talked about the other day on his video, right? That giving birth, that new blood, that new energy, that new opportunity. That's so powerful to have that every month and every week and every day. And so it has to be a commitment from you to force yourself until it becomes a habit, right? Until it becomes second nature, until it becomes your way of life. You have to force yourself to constantly talk to someone and invite them and get that commitment and ask those questions. If the timing was right and the right opportunity presented itself, would you be interested in other forms of income, right? If real estate didn't take your own money or credit, would you want to do that? Would you be interested in owning rental property? Whatever the question, the intrigue question that you want to ask people, you have to constantly ask these questions to people that you come in contact with, and really engage every single day with getting a commitment to having someone at an event, and your event becomes more exciting. You'll get let down. You'll constantly get let down. You'll constantly have no shows. You'll constantly have not raw people able to fund the education, or you won't have willing people, and you'll have discouragement and all those things. But those are the $10,000 paychecks that Scott was talking about that are worth far more than the $10,000 paychecks that go into your account. And soon enough, you will have more than enough $10,000 paychecks that go into your account. But when you are not making those commitments, and you're not inviting guests and having guests at the meetings, and you're allowing yourself to be like everybody else, where you're not alone, and you're allowing your life to get in the way and to be normal, which is okay, right? But when you allow that to happen, your Renatus business is compromised, and you will notice that your Renatus business will suffer, and you will notice that your comfortableness and your willingness to just agree with what happens, your willingness to accept the fact that this is hard and it's not working, and I don't have any guests this week, and I didn't want to place an ad, and I didn't have the money, and you allow yourself just accept the excuses that you make, then your business will compromise, and you will not be alone. You will be one with many people that experience this, and the number one thing you need to do is not only never learn to quit, but then you also need to jump back on the horse, right? And re-engage every single week, re-encourage yourself to invite and place the ad and start again and start over every day. Start over, start inviting, start your team, start your 5-star quest, start your team building quest, start your $100,000 goal quest, whatever it is, and start it over again. It can start every single day and every week. It's okay. I do it constantly. All right, with that, guys, it's 7:56, I think. Are there any questions or thoughts in regards to this training, or anything in regards to your real estate or your marketing business, rather, that I can answer or help you guys with? I'm going to go ahead and type again my number for those of you who don't have it. I don't know if you want it. I always put you guys in my phone if you reach out to me. So yeah, there's my cell phone number. Is that right? Yeah. 533-3141. Yep. So that's my cell number. You're more than happy. What were those 2 questions you mentioned? Oh, cool. Good question. So one of the things I say, literally, especially in 3-foot rule, is if the timing was right and the right opportunity presented itself, would you be interested in another stream of income? Or are you interested in other streams of income or multiple streams of income? Any one of those, that combination, right? If the timing was right and the right opportunity presented itself, would you be open to multiple streams of income? That's what I ask people, right? And naturally, that question typically will bring a yes. I mean, who wouldn't say yes to that, right? And so then my follow-up to that, would there be a good time I could give you a call and I can introduce you to what I'm doing? Or I can introduce you to the opportunity I came across, or I can introduce you to whatever it is that you want to call it, right? And you're not having that conversation right there and then. You are literally collecting a name and number, and you probably already have it. So it might be a warm market or a 3-foot rule, someone you know at work or whatever it is. And then you're asking them when's a good time for them to call. Would it be okay if I give you a call and spend 15 or 10 minutes on the phone with you? And literally leave it, let them know it's a few minutes of their time. And then secondly, the other question was, if had you ever thought about investing in real estate? And you can phrase that any way you want, but have you ever thought about owning rental property or fix and flipping a property, or have you ever thought about making money on purpose in real estate? And you could joke around, you're like, yeah, so many people that accidentally make a lot of money on their own personal residence. Wouldn't you like to do that on purpose? Right? And that's the other question that I ask, right? It's a real estate oriented question, or it's an income opportunity or an earnings opportunity question. Another place it says, do you have a favorite place you get cold market leads from? I get nothing hardly off Craigslist, even with paid ads. That was the question. Do you have a favorite place you get cold market leads from? I get nothing hardly off Craigslist, even with paid ads. And you're welcome, by the way. So with that, you guys, I love Craigslist. And, Sandra, if you ever wanted to talk about Craigslist, I'll personally talk to you about my ad. And, but I'll tell you, one of the ways that you can place an ad, folks, on Craigslist, in my opinion, is think about if you were marketing to yourself and you literally wanted you to answer your own ad. What would you say to that person to intrigue them? The number one thing you have to, in my opinion, when I remembered when I placed my ad, you guys, I remembered when I lost my business in 2006 and I was looking to get into real estate, and I had no idea I didn't even understand there was real estate seminars. Like, I had bought that program off TV, but that's all I knew about. So I was looking for a job. I hadn't looked for a job my entire life. So I went to Craigslist and was looking for a job. And I was used to making a certain amount of income. I owned my own business for 7 years. So the first thing that attracted to me was like these dollar signs and then a big tagline. And so my ad says $$, $1,000 dash 10,000 plus per month, right? That's my headline. So it captures someone interested in money and not afraid of money. And I know that's cliche. It's a whole nother training, but, and then in my ad, whatever ad you guys placed, I remember what attracted to me. And it was, have you ever wanted to invest in real estate? I wanted to invest in real estate. What's missing? You know what I mean? And then I would ask a couple questions in my ad that I knew I would have those same questions about. And then I answered those questions in my ad by providing a solution and having them have a command in my ad, which is call now. No experience necessary. This is for you. Leave your name and number twice, right? So some commands and some direction and a call to action. And that's what's in my ad. And it's very, very simple. And it doesn't say anything about what Renatus is or anything. It's simply appealing to the same type of thing that I was looking for. So that's my ad, Sandra. You're welcome. Awesome, you guys. So at 8:02, respect your time. You're welcome to call me, you guys, or text me. I'll look forward to training again. And I will start putting some stuff up on the screen and using the screen as I learn how to do that, so that will help. But I love speaking from the heart, and I love I love sharing experiences with my real estate and my business over 10 years with Renatus and my team. And so that's the best way that I know how to train. But I will incorporate as much as I can. I'll start to incorporate the screen. Michael Huggins is really good at it, and Christian, and I just don't do it that way, but I'll learn. So I don't know what this raised hand is. So I don't, it says 2 participants raised their hand. I don't know where to find that, you guys. Shoot. I guess I click, raise their hands. I don't know what that means if you raise your hand. I see it.
Presumably it means they want to talk. All they have to do is come off mute, though.
Oh, cool. So yeah, if you want to come off mute and talk, gosh, please do. You can always interrupt me, folks. I appreciate all the thank yous, and you guys are so welcome. If you have a hand up and you wanted to talk, Pat or Erna, feel free. If you have a question or whatever you wanted to say, more than happy to interact. I didn't mean to ignore you. You are still, Erna, you're not on mute. It looks like if you wanted to talk. Pat, I think you're still on mute.
Hi, I just wanted your phone number. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, my phone number is 760-533-3141. 760-533-3141. That's my personal cell phone number.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Pat, you're still on mute, I think, if you want to ask a question or talk rather, or make a comment, whatever you want. I'm more than happy. But with that, you guys, it is 8:04. And again, I appreciate your time. I know everybody's got to get on with their day. So yeah, you guys, thanks so much for listening to me and being on this call. It means a lot to me. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm here for everybody, and you guys help me as much as I help you, if that's even the case. And so I greatly appreciate it. I learn from these calls every day. I'm on them every week, listening to the other trainers. So I just greatly appreciate the opportunity and the platform, and I look forward to it every single week of bringing value to you guys. And so if anybody has anything and needs anything or wants me to train on anything, you can always text me and let me know, and I'll work a training in on that. With that, you guys, I guess I'll end the meeting. I just appreciate everybody. You're welcome, Sandra. You're welcome, Melissa. Thanks, everybody. You guys are awesome. Have a fantastic Tuesday. See you on the call tomorrow from Michael. Take care, everybody. I'm going to end the meeting. Thank you.